Welcome in everybody to a Sunday morning, right? Holiday weekend. Wasn't here yesterday. Big soccer tournament yesterday, but as always, right here, Fantasy Firebox, Win Daily Sports at Cutillo 23 is where you can find me. And we're going to get this started right now because we are literally a few days away from the most exciting time of every sports fan, right? We all know fantasy football is where it's at. Fantasy sports is where it's at. So before we start, as always, like I'm going to tell you, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube page. Show these Win Daily guys that Jigsaw is the guy to listen to. Okay. Show them that, I'm not just doing this for my health, right? So we're doing this to have some fun. But now, in all seriousness, subscribe to the Win Daily Sports Team YouTube page. Get your gold membership. Get ready for football. Let these experts, as well as myself, help you inside the analytics and make you some money within this NFL season. And even if you're not making money, we're going to have some fun. And that's the thing. We're going to have some fun. You don't have to bet tons of money and things of that nature. Let's just throw a couple dollars here and there together, have some fun. We win and lose as a team. Adam, what's up? Yeah, Coach Tony. Listen, I was coaching yesterday. You can't see it, but I'm a little red, got the red nose. I was out there in the sun all day long, man. All day long. I mean, it was a great day. As always, love every minute of it. But right now, I figure, you know what? Usually what happens is we get in tune with the baseball game on Saturdays, right? Fantasy Firebox covers all angles. It covers basketball, it covers baseball, and most importantly, covers football. So usually on Saturdays, we do an MLB show. And basically what we do is we take some picks, do some cores, do some lineups. But yesterday, I was on the soccer field, not there. FSU for the upset tonight. Dennis is already on that college game. I love it. He's already on the college game. But today what I wanted to do is, because we got drafts coming up, and there are a lot of interesting scenarios that are going on. I've had about 6 drafts already, and I've seen some things that are head scratchers, right? I see a lot of reaches. So what I want to try to do is, just for this specific episode of the Fantasy Firebox, is talk about some running backs and receivers that I think you can look at late, and also based on their ADPs, because late for a running back could be a 4th or 5th round ADP that nobody's looking at, that could possibly help you in your season-long draft. So I really want to talk about that, because there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Adam says, I'm doing my league draft on Monday night. So Adam, this is where you want to be. This is where you want to be. You want to listen to that. And also, go check out windailysports.com. As always, my man Sticks is on it when it comes to season-long and standard and PPR rankings. You got to check them out for free. I'm telling you right now, you got to check them out, man. You check them out. They're unbelievable. And then hook yourself up with a membership as well. And listen, if you want a membership, you don't have a membership, talk to me. I'll talk to the man. We'll get you hooked up for a month so you can see what you like. And then if you like it, stick with us. I guarantee that you are, because we do have some fun. So let's get right into this, because there are a multitude of picks that, for me, for my money, that are kind of going by the wayside. Okay, the first guy I want to talk about is Myles Gaskin. Now, the reason why I want to talk about him is because this running back situation this year, and what I mean by situation is, into the top 10, there's basically nobody. And what I mean by nobody, there's nobody you can hang your hats on and say, you know what, this guy is going to carry my team. So what you have to do is you have to start looking at this position as a whole and see who can help you a little bit later on, so you don't reach on a guy that's an RB2 and make him an RB1, and you fill your roster up with those wide receiver ones that get the RB2s later, where they actually should be drafted. Now, I will tell you, some of these guys are still going early, okay? So I'm giving you the general consensus of ADP as of right now, as of September 5th, okay? So what we have to look at, in my opinion, and I'm going to tell you guys this again, Myles Gaskin is one of those guys that I fall in love with certain guys. I do. I fall in love with certain guys, and because based on where they're being drafted and where they ended up last year, and based on what they're doing going forward, it gets me excited. So let me just tell you why Myles Gaskin, as a fourth-round ATB, gets me excited. Now, number one, everybody's going to throw, because when I talk about Myles, everybody throws the Malcolm Brown thing in my face, right? I don't care about Malcolm Brown. I don't care about Brian Flores. I don't care about RBBC, running back by committee. It doesn't bother me one bit. It's all coach speak. I'm telling you right now, it is coach speak, because what Myles Gaskin can do is what something that Malcolm Brown can't. And that's being elusive and being a target out in the screen game and out in the wheel routes on a team that's going to be very mobile because of their quarterback into it. So this is what gets me excited. And I tell everybody this because I don't think they look inside the numbers, okay? Does everybody realize that there were only 2 games last year? Only 2 games. Now, Myles Gaskin did get hurt a few times last year. Only played 10 games. But again, if you look at it, this guy was impressive. He averaged 15 points per game. 15 points. So people right now are drafting running backs that are getting an average of double digits for their 3-year average over a guy like Myles Gaskin, just because Brian Flores says it's going to be a running back by committee, just because Malcolm Brown is the RB2. Give me a break, people. Wake up. I'm telling you right now, you need to put Gaskin on your list. Okay, and this is why. Except for week 1 against New England and except for week 4 against Seattle, where he averaged 10 points per game, which again is above that 8.9 point per game average of the guys people are drafting above him. Okay, besides those 2 games, he was consistently lowest game 14 and a half. He had gains of 20. He had gains of 18, of 34. Against Vegas, he turned a 34-point campaign. And he had at the least 3 receptions in each game, at a minimum. So you're not only are you getting a guy that's scoring touchdowns in the red zone, but you're also getting a guy who's being able to catch the ball in the backfield, out of the backfield, and grabbing you those PPR points that you sorely need in your draft. So again, this is a guy that I have to 100% go all in on as your RB1 later. I think he can. Listen, I understand he's on low. Listen, he's not, again, we are not talking about Alvin Kamara, right? We're not talking about Jonathan Taylor or even, listen, I think the David Montgomery comparison is huge because I honestly think I would take Myles Gaskin over David Montgomery. Call me crazy, but I think Gaskin is going to give you more. And I'm looking at this as a 4th-round ADP. He is going to be a solid RB2 on your team, a solid RB2. So look about this 100%. You look at the way you can formulate this draft. So if you're going to take Myles Gaskin, just based on the ADP in a 4th round, that means you're already going to get an RB1 in your 1st round. So you say 1st round, just hypothetically, just for the hell of it, we're going to take your number 1 running back is Derrick Henry. You have one of the top 4 picks, top 5 picks, you take Derrick Henry. Now you come back in the 2nd round and you get a receiver. Okay, maybe you get my number 1 guy in Calvin Ridley. Okay, then in the 3rd round, you're probably going to wind up with a guy like a Robert Woods. So now you already talked about Robert Woods, who in the last 3 years has the highest target average of any wide receiver. Look it up. People don't even realize that. Okay. So now you get Robert Woods, you get Calvin Ridley, you get Derrick Henry, and then you're going to spin in a 4th round and get a guy like Myles Gaskin who's going to catch and run. Your team's stacked. It's solid. Nobody's looking at Myles Gaskin. So check him out. I'm telling you, he's a guy that he is going to outperform his ADP. I'm going to tell you that right now. My man, Brian, what's up, Brian? Checking in. Brian, listen, I'm not sure if there's out there, my man. You look fantastic. All props to you for kicking ass and taking names. I love it, dude. I love it. You're an inspiration. And good luck I should say congratulations on the win yesterday, because I know we were both in the same tournament. I didn't get a chance to talk, but congrats on the big win. So you say I picked Saquon at pick 9 and Jones in the background. Listen, you know what kills me about the Saquon Barkley? And I love Saquon. I do. The guy is absolutely fantastic. He is. And if you look at what he did as a rookie, your mind is blown of what he could possibly do on your team. The one thing I would tell you about Saquon, the only thing that gives me the uneasiness feeling is there hasn't been a lot of positivity about how good he is coming back from the injury. There hasn't been a lot of positivity about he could take the full workload right off the bat. Anything that scares me is Saquon, but it's nice that you came back and were able to get Aaron Jones, because that's a huge deal. So now Aaron Jones quite possibly could pick up that slack that you're missing on Saquon, right? So even though the O-line is terrible, Brian, I don't think it really matters. I think he's that good that if he's healthy and he's 100%, that he definitely can outperform. Basically he can hide that bad offensive line and he can outperform. Whereas ADP is, because right now his ADP is actually a little low because of the injury factor. And like you say, you got him at 9. I've seen Saquon going in the second round, and I think that's because people are worried about the injury factor. Dawn, what's up, Dawn? My whole team sucks. Listen, hey, man, you never know. Fantasy sometimes is a game of luck. Right? You could draft the best in the world. Sometimes it doesn't matter. It could just be a game of luck, and it could happen. You just never know. Okay, let's move on to another guy that I like. And again, I know everybody's going to say the Houston Texans. Do we want anybody on the Houston Texans? I get it. I do. The team's a mess, right? The team's a mess. It's all obviously the coaching situation last year. Then you got the whole Deshaun Watson thing. It is. It's a mess. And there's so many running backs, okay, in Houston that we're really not sure who's going to come out and be the heir apparent. Now, what I will tell you is, for my money, I think Philip Lindsay is the RB1 on this team. Now, I'm not buying into the David Johnson hype. Okay, David Johnson is a shell of what he once was, and he gets hurt like every other game. So I'm not worried about David Johnson. Mark Ingram, mark my words, he's done. He's washed. Okay? Mark my words, he's done. You're not going to get a lot out of Mark Ingram. Philip Lindsay, still only 27 years old. When he was used as the number 1 guy in Denver, he was pretty damn good. In 2018, he had a 5.4 yards per carry. 5.4 yards. Okay, 2019, 4.5. I don't look at last year because they brought Melvin Gordon in, and the whole situation was unsettled. But when he was the number 1 guy, he gave you over 1,000 yards 2 years in a row, and also gave you 50 targets, okay, which means he can catch the ball. This is going to be a bad team. Okay, this is going to be a team. You got Brandon Cooks out there. You got Nico Collins. We've all talked about that sleeper as a wide receiver. Who knows who's going to be throwing on the ball? But this is a team that's going to always be chasing points. It is. And Philip Lindsay can do it all. And at a 9th round ADP, like I said, don't reach. The running back position is very scarce, but don't reach. Okay, make sure you get your RB1, but after that, don't reach. Go with the value. Go with that receiving value that is there. Go with it. Lock them up and talk about these guys later on in your draft. And if you see the running back wheel starting to go, okay, well, then maybe you reach out and grab one. But we're talking 5th, 6th, 7th round, not 2nd or 3rd. Don't be that guy. It's not going to help you. You are going to regret passing up some of those wide receivers at that time. I'm telling you right now. So what you need to do is you need to jot these down. Fantasy Firebox today on September 5th, and look at these guys in your upcoming drafts this week. Okay, throw them in your queue. Wait for that 4th and 5th round to come, and then boom, start to attack and look at these guys. Because I really think, listen, Philip Lindsay could be very, very valuable to a fantasy owner. Okay, he could. And you just go back to 2019 and 2018, and you look at his games when he was used, when he got over 15 attempts, right? When he got over 15 attempts, he averaged 17 points per game. When he got over 14 attempts, I know it's only dropped off 1, he averaged 14 points per game. Okay, so here's a guy who's giving you double-digit points on a bad team that's going to be chasing points. He's going to get a lot of runs. Why not be able to draft him late? These are the kind of guys that can win you a Super Bowl. I'm telling you that right now, because these are the guys that you don't reach on. They fall into your lap and they become weekly starters when nobody even ranked them. I'm telling you, it happens. It happens all the time, right? Happens all the time. Al, what's up, buddy? Al taking care of that half-court heat. I love it. Thanks, man. I appreciate it on a Sunday morning checking in. As always, my God, I can't wait to get that half-court heat up and running again. So let's go right now and look at another sneaky running back. Now, I told you that I have guys. Now, my last guy I'm going to say, because he is my gem, my sleeping gem. But let's talk about Jamal Williams. Now, last night, I joined Sirius last night. Again, as always, my man Jason from Windell Sports always likes to have me on. I appreciate the hospitality, bringing me on, letting me talk on a Saturday night while everybody else is sleeping, but we're rolling. Okay, and that's fantastic. And we talked about Jamal Williams last night. Okay, and honestly, another guy who I think is being overlooked. Again, these aren't guys going to be your RB1s. Okay, but again, in a situation, okay, where you're looking at this running back position, not offering any kind of value after the top 10, as far as, I should say, upper end value. What I mean by that is no value for you to reach the second and third round, even though people are. The value is later, and that's why we're bringing these up. And Jamal Williams, I hope you remember him in Green Bay, because he was the 1B to Aaron Jones, and he got a lot of clock. He is a fantastic coverage running back. And what I mean by that is he protects the quarterback. He knows how to block. He knows how to scheme. And he's on a bad team in Detroit. The kind of guy, DeAndre Swift, who is already hurt. DeAndre Swift has shown he's very nimble. And when you have a guy that's nimble and a guy that gets hurt a lot, the second guy on that depth chart is going to be the guy that's extremely valuable. Not just as a handcuff, but a guy that you can look at that's going to give you, again, rushing attempts and targets on a team in the Motor City that's not very good. Also on a team under Dan Campbell and Anthony Lynn, who is going to want to run the ball. Remember what Anthony Lynn did for Chargers. I was going to say in San Diego. So I caught myself, okay, even though I loved San Diego. Okay, so think about what Anthony did with the LA Chargers. He frustrated the hell out of every fantasy owner who had Austin Eckler, because every time he turned around, he was throwing somebody else in there, whether it be Joshua Kelly, right? Whether it be Justin Jackson. We went through all these experiments. But what that should tell you, though, is he's not afraid to use his depth chart, which buys right into Jamal Williams. So when Jamal Williams, even though he was with Aaron Rodgers, even though you take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games where he had double-digit attempts, and every single time he had double-digit attempts after 15, which would be a starting running back, he averaged at least 15 points per game for fantasy. That shows that he's able to carry the load if there seems to be a DeAndre Swift injury. But again, maybe he doesn't have a full workload in week 1. And it's already being in reports out there with the hamstring injury. He may not be a full workload for the first 4 games. If he can't handle a full workload for 4 games, what's going to happen? Jamal Williams is going to insert him into that role. And as long as he's productive, he's going to carry that role for the entire year. What I mean is the change of pace role, the split carry role. And what fantasy has showed you over the years with the right matchups, if you have the 1B to the 1A and you insert him for the right week, you're going to be successful. So Jamal Williams, again, I'm strictly looking at it from an ADP perspective. 8th round, you can get a guy like Jamal Williams, and he could give you some very, very productive minutes. Jigsaw bringing the heats, nothing but the hits. Mike, my man, as always, checking in. Appreciate the love, bro. Seriously. Glad to see all as well. Adam wants to know, what is your drafting strategy? Some people go quarterback first, then running back, then wide receivers. This is what I will say. Now, here's another exciting thing. It's not for season long, so I will give you this, but keep it locked on Win Daily Sports. I have a brand new segment dropping this week called the DFS Academy, where I will be dropping probably 10 to 15 5 to 10 minute videos, okay, that are going to explain the world of DFS and how to formulate your NFL DFS lineups, MLB DFS, NBA DFS, just to go deep inside to show you what the mind of Jigsaw is thinking, to help you if you've never played DFS before and you want to get into the game. So that's going to be fun. But Adam, when you talk about drafting season long, some people go quarterback first. I go by a tier system. Right? I go by a tier system. And what I do is I tier every single one of my positions. I will not, here's why I do that. I cannot draft a wide receiver from a tier 3, okay, when there's a running back from tier 2 sitting there. I draft strictly by that unless somebody I really zone in on I want. Quarterback, I'm a quarterback guy. It's crazy. Like, everybody says wait on quarterbacks. I don't wait on quarterbacks. I don't. For me, I think every single one of my drafts, I either have Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, I drafted in the 3rd round, or I have Justin Herbert that I drafted in the 4th or 5th. I wanted a guy who I knew was going to stay in that specific spot on my team, and I never had to pivot. Tulak for the reference, right? But no, seriously, I like a guy that I can just throw in there. And I'm going to tell you one thing. Mark my words. I'm going to say this again. Make sure in a COVID year that you have a very good backup. And I'm not talking to a backup that is risky, that may be good. Maybe I'm going to take Trey Lance because he's a rookie, or Trevor Lawrence. No, I'm telling you right now that you better get a good backup, because, again, whether the guy's unvaccinated, whether COVID protocol set in, you're going to lose that guy for at least 1 week, possibly 2, possibly 3. That's huge. On a fantasy football regular season that only goes 13 to 14 games, that's something you have to really consider. You better have somebody that's a good backup. And that might mean drafting a backup early, but I'm telling you, you won't regret it. Adam says, I was going to say, if a starter running back gets hurt, get some that is a running back 2 or 3 would be a good numbers guy. And again, that's talking about specifically handcuffs, which I understand. I'm not a handcuff guy. For me, it's a wasted roster spot. People say that all the time, but I don't do it. I'm sorry. And call me risky, call me crazy, but I would much rather a guy on my team that's going to get consistent minutes before I take a guy who may play or may get in. It's a wasted roster spot to me. I'll take the risk of going forward without a handcuff. That's just me. So that's why I'm giving these guys, Adams. These are the guys I think you should look at. Like, you've drafted a guy like Jamal Williams very late with the 8th round ADP. At least he's going to get some clock. He's going to get some consistent points. You're not waiting on an injury for him to insert himself into your lineup, right? And I think that's the most important thing. So let's go. Trevor checking in. What's up, Trev? As all, would you say Tua is risky? I would say Tua is risky, but I like Tua, right? They have a lot of offensive weaponry out there in Miami, right? They do. It's just it's going to be curious to see how they use Tua, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Now, Tua's going along the lines of a Ben Roethlisberger, Ryan Fitzpatrick. So it all depends, right? Obviously, I don't think you're going to be worried about Jacoby Brissett coming in and taking over, right? I really don't think that's going to be the case. I think Jacoby Brissett has been there more as, number one, as depth, but number two, to help Tua, because Jacoby Brissett knew where to run when it was time to run. Didn't run all the time, but Brissett had the right vision to hit the proper angles, and I think that's why he's there to help Tua. But Tua's looked pretty good in the preseason, I'll be honest with you. Some of his throws, right? So, and he showed flashes last year where he could be really good. I think the problem with Tua is he was so inconsistent last year because I just don't think he was ready, right? But the only good part is at least you brought him in last year. He got his, he got his little experience in those games, the 10 games that he played. So now you don't have to worry about that this year, right? Now you should hope he's not going to be seasoned, but he's going to be experienced in the fact that he knew what to expect. So this year, I think will be a different year for Tua. I don't know if he's going to be consistent QB1 for a season-long team, but most definitely I can guarantee this, Trev. He's going to be a DFS darling. And why I say that is he's going to be a guy that's going to be priced pretty low week to week, that you're going to be able to zone in and throw him in there and get consistent points. So I think he will be more of that DFS darling than a season-long guy. I don't know if I would be able to buy in on a season-long guy. Now, here's my sneaky pick of the day. It's not Jamal Williams. That's who we were just talking about, okay? Now, all I want, number one, two things. You're going to subscribe to Win Daily Sports YouTube channel. You're going to go follow Win Daily Sports on all social formats, and you're going to follow at Cutillo23, which is me, on all social formats. And you're going to show the screenshot of this next sleeper I'm going to give you. And when he hits, I want all the credit. No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously though, when this guy comes through, because I fully think that he will, I want everybody to start hitting me up and let's have some fun with it. Okay, because I truly believe this could be the sleeper of the running back position that nobody's looking about in this draft. And that is my man, Jerick McKinnon. Now, I have always been, people that know me, I've always been on the McKinnon wagon. I know he hasn't been able to stay healthy. I get it. I do, right? But that's why these are sleepers, right? That's why these are sleepers. I love Jerick McKinnon in Kansas City. He is everything Andy Reid wants in a running back. He is everything the Kansas City Chiefs need in a running back. And the reason why I like Jerick McKinnon is because CEH already has shown he can't stay healthy. And I know McKinnon is a guy that can't stay healthy. He has battled a ton of injuries, right? 2018-19 were lost seasons. Last year, he was a realm of himself in San Francisco, basically because he was just in a carousel. But at least he got his legs back and he got some work in. I think, quite possibly, this could be the steal of the draft. Call me crazy, but you got to have bold picks. Everybody says, what's your bold picks? I'm going to tell you what my bold pick is. Bold pick for Fantasy Football 2021. Jerick McKinnon will finish as the starting running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he will be a consistent week-to-week fantasy performer. It's not going to be Darrell Williams. It's not. Darrell Williams is going to be the change of pace back. Jerick McKinnon is going to be taking over for CEH because CEH cannot stay healthy. So that's my bold take of the year, is Jerick McKinnon will be the number one option for the Kansas City Chiefs. And he will go back to those 2016, 2017 years at age 29 and give you one more glory season. Okay? I'm going to throw it out there. Let's see what happens. So again, the reason why is specifically for health. The team that he's on, there, you have to look at, I don't just take these sleepers out because, there's late round pick. Let me take a flyer. I have some analytics behind it. Jerick McKinnon can not only pass block, but he can go out and get the ball. He's a great screen running back. He's a great wheel route running back. And when you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes that's going to move around so much, McKinnon is going to get open against a linebacker in coverage all day. That's what's going to happen. Tell me that right now. It's going to happen. And when it happens, he's going to break through. He's going to break through, and he's going to be successful. All right, this is a team that's going to score a lot of points. Even with a healthy CEH, you've seen how many times they utilize the other running backs on the depth charts. They love to utilize the running backs. And all it's going to take is one bad move on CEH's part. That's going to insert Jerick McKinnon because it's not Darrell Williams. Darrell Williams is not the guy. He's the change of pace guy, in my opinion. Jerick McKinnon, as long as he can stay healthy, again, 14th round ADP is a guy I think you need to look at. He could be the steal, along with Giovanni Bernard, of all fantasy drafts. I love the Jerick McKinnon name. Nobody's talking about him. We'll see what happens. Again, you're drafting him in probably the last round of your draft, essentially. What is he going to hurt? You throw him on your bench, you see what happens, and you fly from there. So let's get into a couple wide receivers before we end this out that I think a lot of people are sleeping on as well. Somebody needs to tell me why Jacoby Myers is being drafted so late. Somebody needs to help me with this. Every draft that I've been in, people are completely overlooking Jacoby Myers. Why is that? Somebody please tell me. Are we really fixated on Nelson Aguilar? Is Nelson Aguilar really a number one wide receiver? Come on. And I'll tell you what, the Mac Jones effect is got to be another cog in the Jacoby Myers wheel of going up to fantasy precedent. And I have to say that because nobody's looking at Jacoby Myers. And I don't get it. Like, did all of a sudden this guy do something that I missed? Last year, 14 games, 81 targets, number 2 on a depth chart. When we're talking about Nelson Aguilar, Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne, N'Keal Harry, are we really blown away by these receivers? Are we? No, Jacoby Myers is 100% the guy. Nelson Aguilar had one good year in his career. One. Now, all of a sudden, he's going to go to New England, right now on his third team and excel? No. It's going to be Jacoby Myers. Okay? It's going to be Jacoby Myers. Do you look at his stats? What are you not looking at? When he averages over 7 targets per game, which he did in 5 games last year, he's averaging at least double-digit fantasy points. Right now, Mac Jones is going to zone in on a guy who can catch the ball and get open. That guy is going to be Jacoby Myers. I'm telling you right now. He is the most talented wide receiver in the bunch. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if you say they're going to run first offense. I don't care if you say they're going to utilize double tight ends. No, here's what's going to happen with Jacoby Myers. This is why I like Jacoby. Because with Cam Newton as that number 1 quarterback in New England, what we thought was going to happen, the double tight end set was going to be there for Cam Newton as an outlet, was going to be there for Cam Newton to be able to get that short passing game going so he wouldn't have to go down the field with his bum shoulder. Now that changes. Now, Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, you know what they're going to be? They're going to be standing blockers. Why? Because you have a young quarterback who needs to develop his field vision. And because of that, I think they both take a 15% hit on their targets. And if that's a 15% hit on 2 guys, that's 30%. If you cut that in half and give me 15% again, and you throw that onto Jacoby Myers on a full season, he's giving you over 100 targets. Over. So if 100 targets equals 70 catches, that 900 to 1,000 yards, sign me up all day. For a guy who's being overlooked and not until the 12th round. This is the things that you have to look at. Or these are the things that you have to look at. And again, he's not a flashy name. Because he's not a flashy name, he's falling by the wayside. That's what's happening. He's not a flashy name, so nobody's looking at him. Everybody's thinking that this New England offense is going to flounder. They're just going to run. They're going to completely forget about the outside receivers. That's not me. I love Jacoby Myers. And at an ADP of the 12th round, he's a guy I think that could really do some damage on your team if you get him in the lineup at the right time. So another guy I think you need to look at right there. Again, a 12th round ADP, there is tons of value in the fantasy wide receiver market. Tons of value. Aguilar, exactly, Adam. Aguilar drops so many passes for me to pick him up. I just don't understand why people all of a sudden envision him as this number 1 wide receiver on a team like the New England Patriots. He's not going to be that number 1 guy. So stop worrying about Nelson Aguilar and pick Jacoby Myers up today. Paul, what's up, Paul? He says, I need a fantasy football league to join. Man, I'll tell you, Paul, I wish I had another one, man. I do. I wish I had another one. But what I can tell you is, even if you don't do a fantasy football league, What you can do is if you join us on Win Daily Sports and you follow us in Discord and you talk with us through all the Discord chats about all the fantasy players, you throw that DFS line, the daily fantasy lineup in every week. Okay, and we work together. We have some fun with it. It could be something you may like. So go check us out. Again, windailysports.com. Check us out. Get in that Discord chat. Okay, and again, I can tell you right now, I can hook you up. We can get you a free 30-day membership. Okay, give you a 30-day gold membership for the first month and see how you like it. All you need to do is drop me your email address. Let me know. Get in there. Figure, start messing around. Look at all our projection models that are top notch, I would say. Honestly, our expert chat, which is unbelievable. Guys are hitting you up every 30 seconds, going across the board, talking about your lineups, and then you can get in the game that way. And I guarantee you probably have some fun. So if you want, drop me your email. I'll get you 30 days for free. Check it out. And then if you want to purchase from there, up to you, my man, but I guarantee you're going to like it. We're going to have some fun this year. That's for damn sure. Is it like, yes, it's 100% Paul. It's DraftKings, 100%. What I'm saying is you could take the Win Daily and we have projection models in there, whether it be from DraftKings or FanDuel to help you out with your DFS team. So I think you should check it out. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at, listen, there's guys winning money. There's guys that are being competitive every single week. So these guys really break it down and we try to help you, zone in on those players that nobody else actually talking about. You talk about low ownership percentages, which means higher money profits. We don't lie when we say a profit center, because 9 times out of 10, you will make a profit using our projection models. So let's get into my last wide receiver sleeper before we end the show, because we're just under that 40 minutes, which is perfect for me. I'm going to go Hunter Renfrow. Now, I'm telling you, again, these are late round guys that I think that you need to look at. The reason why Hunter Renfrow is on my chart, again, number one, he's a 15th round ADP. Okay. Number two, they cut my man John Brown. John Brown did not work out in Vegas, which bumps Hunter Renfrow right up to that perfect slot receiver role that he loves to be in. Last 2 years, he's averaged 75 targets from the slot role. Henry Ruggs, obviously wide receiver 1. Brian Edwards, wide receiver 2. The slot receiver in the West Coast style of offense run by John Gruden is very, very important. And the reason why I like Renfrow is because another year of development for Henry Ruggs, who quite possibly could have a breakout campaign this year. He's going to command the over-the-top coverage. There's going to be nobody in the middle of the field this year. Okay? Think about it. If that double safety goes high and wants to play over-the-top coverage on a speedster like Henry Ruggs, and quite possibly another guy's going to go deep at Brian Edwards, that's going to leave the middle of the field wide open for Hunter Renfrow. That's quite possibly going to be marked by a middle linebacker or a weak side linebacker. They are not going to be able to stay with Hunter Renfrow. This could equal to a 100 target campaign. Listen, it's not out of the realm. He had 77 targets last year. All we're talking about is a plus 28. That's it. 28 more targets for Hunter Renfrow this year. Now, he was a really good DFS receiver. If you picked him in the right, in the right setting with the right matchup, he was really good. But again, you have to look at the ADP here. And this is what I'm trying to tell you. You're looking at an ADP of the 15th round. So you could quite possibly get a receiver in the 15th round of a 12-man draft that's going to get you consistent point production. That is huge. And I'm not talking about 2 points. I'm talking about anywhere between 8 to 13 without even expanding on his role, which I think will be expanded upon this year. So if you're talking about an 8 to 13 baseline, now all of a sudden you bump that up to 10 to 15. Who else are you going to draft that's going to give you 15 points a week in the last round of your draft? Now, 15 is the high point, but who else are you going to draft that's going to get consistent 10, consistent double digits? right? This is why I'm telling you, you have to look inside the draft. Stop reaching for picks and go after guys that offer you value. Now we got a couple more questions coming in. Did Darren Waller? Come on, man. Listen, Darren Waller is a tight end. I'm talking about receivers. We already know what Darren Waller is going to be, right? Come on, man. You got to come with me with a little more than did Darren Waller die. It's a little ridiculous. You don't think I don't know Darren Waller's on that team, but we're talking about wide receivers. Last time I checked, he's not a wide receiver. He's a tight end, quite possibly the number one tight end for fantasy football. I think we all know that. But again, when you have the development of two other receivers and you have a slot guy that's going to be wide open in the 15th round, that's what you need to look at, right? What you want me to sit here and tell you to draft Darren Waller? No, I don't think so. You're looking for the wrong show, man. Come on. I'll talk about the middle of the field. But yeah, listen, I completely agree. And you know what? I'm glad you said that, because here's the thing. That even helps me with my Hunter Renfrow theory, right? Because Darren Waller is another guy that needs to be looked at. So you have quite possibly, you're basically going to have a 3+1, but let's just call it a four wide receiver set, which will include Darren Waller. So for me, Hunter Renfrow is going to be the recipient of number one, broken coverage, and number two, coverage in the middle of the field from a weak side linebacker, because the strong side linebacker is going to try to hang with Darren Waller for the physicality factor, right? So then you got Henry Ruggs going deep, you got Brian Edwards going deep, and then all of a sudden, who's your guy? Listen, Scotty Miller in Tampa Bay made a name for himself. Why? Because he was the forgotten guy in the offense that had tons of weaponry, right? So that's why I'm looking at this. And again, listen, we're talking about the 15th round, right? We're talking about the 15th round. So look at it. Even last year, you mentioned about Darren Waller. Even last year with Darren Waller, we still had a baseline of 7 to 13 points when Hunter Renfrow conceded 7 or more targets. So think about that. So he still was getting the ball. So all I'm saying is, this year in fantasy football, in your season-long drafts, you need to establish a system where you're not reaching for guys based on what you think is going to happen, right? Because sometimes you get caught up in names. You just think, oh, you know what? He was there last year. This is what's going to happen. Go inside the numbers. Help your roster out. That's all I'm saying. Darren Waller isn't studying. You're right. But Darren Waller doesn't own the middle of the field. Darren Waller is basically a hybrid tight end, like a Noah Fant, like a George Kittle, right? Like a Travis Kelce. Actually, Travis Kelce, I think, owns the middle of the field more than Darren Waller. Darren Waller has been set up in the X, the Y. No matter what, he's all over. He goes long a lot, right? Which, again, if you heard what I was saying earlier, maybe you'll agree, is if you have Darren Waller as well as Henry Ruggs going deep, that's another safety. That's a free safety and a strong safety over the top. That leaves the entire middle of the field open once again, which I think is, for a guy like Hunter Renfrow, he will prey on that middle of the field. Paul was second, says Russell Gage. Listen, Russell Gage quite possibly could be a very, very good pick because he's going to be the recipient of those Julio Jones targets, right? And obviously, if you listen to me, you know that Calvin Ridley is my number one projected wide receiver. Yes, he is. But Russell Gage could be a guy that could quite possibly indirectly stumble over a bunch of targets because you have a team that's going to throw the ball 600 plus times, right? Last year, he had 110 targets with Julio Jones in that offense, right? His ADP is 14th round, right? So you're talking about a 14th round ADP. It's a great pick. It's a great flyer because now he's the number 2. You're not worried about guys like Christian Blake, not worried about Patterson. Maybe you take a flyer on Zacchaeus, but Russell Gage is Paul. He's a good pick if you're talking about a 14, 15 round ADP. Terrence second in says, I got second pick in my fantasy draft with Alvin Kamara. Oh, wow. Alvin Kamara already on the board on your team as a keeper. That's great, great work. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. This happened to me. I kept Austin Eckler in one of my keepers, and I drafted Derrick Henry. So I'm set. I'm happy that I have Derrick Henry and Alvin Kamara, and I came back in the third round and drafted Gus Edwards. So I'm very ecstatic about my running back situation. So for me, what I would tell you is if there is a top 10 quarterback, obviously I don't know who all the other teams are keeping. If there is a top 10 running back on the board, when you pick at number 2, you 100% have to take a running back, because now you are set for the entire draft. And you can start banging out those value wide receivers later on. I think that's definitely something you have to take a look at. Paul says for the late, yes, exactly, Paul. You're right. He's falling through the cracks, right? Stomp on him. If you can get him 12, 13, 14, 15 round, why not? 100 target guys, 72 catches last year. That's tremendous value late in the round. Ghost checking in again. Thoughts on Emmanuel Sanders then in Buffalo? Listen, Ghost, I'm going to tell you who my guy is. Because obviously Emmanuel Sanders, we're talking about potentially as a sleeper pick because of the wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 status, whatever we want to call him. My guy out in Buffalo is Gabriel Davis. I'm going to tell you that right now. So Gabriel Davis is another guy that nobody's talking about. Emmanuel Sanders, great route runner, tremendous blocker, right? Remember that, tremendous blocker. So I don't think Emmanuel Sanders has the clock that a lot of people are expecting him to have. Father Time is a mother, man. You cannot beat out Father Time. Even though he's looked good in camp, he's not going to give you 120 targets. If you've watched the preseason, the guy that Josh Allen's been zoning in that receiving core after Stephon Diggs has been Gabriel Davis. Second-year receiver. He had a fantastic year as year 1 last year, and year 2 is even going to be better. He's big body. He goes up and gets the ball. He gets open. He gets off the bump and run coverage on the outside. He doesn't shy away from press coverage, and he's got speed. So I could definitely see Emmanuel Sanders being more of the pick receiver, more of the decoy, and Gabriel Davis being more of the guy in Buffalo when we're talking about after Stephon Diggs. So for me, my money, Emmanuel Sanders not a bad pick depending on where you pick him. But if you want a really good late round flyer that's probably not even being drafted, I would really look at Gabriel Davis. I think he's going to have a really big year for Buffalo based on where you're going to have to draft him. Terrence says, looks like Saquon, Zeke, Eckler. Well, listen, I am all here. I love what you're saying right here. This is perfect. We'll talk about this. A question coming in. We got a couple minutes left, and then we're gonna roll. But looks like Saquon, Zeke, Eckler will be available at the second pick. I would go all in on Austin Eckler. I'm sorry. Now, again, I know people are gonna say I'm nuts, right? You're gonna say I'm crazy, but Saquon Barkley, even though absolute beast, right, could carry your team when and if healthy. What I will say, though, you look at these 3 guys, what guy offers you the least amount of question marks? The least amount of question marks, because quite possibly you're probably going to have the highest targeted receiver in the league with Alvin Kamara, right? You're already going to have that. So if you grab a guy like Austin Eckler, listen, Zeke Elliott, we still have to think. Is Zeke Elliott going to ever produce at the volume that he once did? Is he ever going to be 100% into the game to be able to do that in a Mike McCarthy offense? I don't know, right? I think we all have to question that. Saquon Barkley, will he be able to stay healthy all year? He's already not going to get a full workload for the first 4 weeks. Already. Are you comfortable with that? What are the knocks on Austin Eckler? Anthony Lynn is gone. Austin Eckler not only has shown to be able to carry a workload with 92, 93 catches in the past. I'm talking about only 2 years ago, because I take out last year because of Anthony Lynn. But he signed with Yahoo Sports to talk fantasy. This man has to own up. He's got to pony up, right? He's got extra incentive, okay? And he's on an offense with Justin Herbert, with Keenan Allen, okay, that, Mike Williams, as long as he stays healthy, guys like Jalen Guyton, who I think is the next coming of another really good receiver on, from a speedster kind of sense. I think this is an offense you want stock in. And why not get Austin Eckler? So for me, Terrence, it would be between, honestly, Saquon and Eckler. If you're comfortable with Saquon, hoping that the injury factor isn't an issue, then you draft Saquon. But if you want the safe pick, in my opinion, you go Austin Eckler. And then either way, you're going to start off with a star-studded number one, number two. All right, last one before we get out of here. Rondell Moore. Ghost wants to ask about Rondell Moore. I like Rondell Moore, right? I do. I think Rondell Moore is a very intriguing pick, okay? He plays in Arizona, and they have him listed right now above Christian Kirk, which, excuse me, I don't think that's actually the right order. Now, what I could tell you is this all revolves around A.J. Green. What is A.J. Green going to be at 32, 33 years old? We have to figure that out. So it may take a few weeks or so to kind of see where A.J. Green fits. Now, if A.J. Green can't produce, that's going to open it up for Rondell Moore because Christian Kirk is already produced. And I'll tell you what, you've seen times last year where Andy Isabella was a playmaker in this offense, right? This is a very exciting offense run by Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury. So this is going to be an offense that I understand they have a lot of mouths to feed, but I think Rondell Moore, as a late round flyer, could be a very intriguing pick. Whenever you play alongside of DeAndre Hopkins, you're always going to get looks, always. So Rondell Moore could, because Christian Kirk is always going to be the slot guy, right? He's always going to be the slot guy. So there's no vision of seeing Christian Kirk catapulting to wide receiver 2. He's going to be the slot guy always. That's going to be his role. So that's why I'm saying this all depends on A.J. Green. So if A.J. Green doesn't produce, then Rondell Moore quite possibly will be that guy. So I definitely like Rondell Moore. I like the potential. Second round flyer, in draft. What I'm saying is they drafted him in the second round. 5'9", 180, age 21. Why not take a shot from the ex-Boilermaker? Because I think A.J. Green is probably washed. And because he's washed, Rondell Moore, as long as he can learn the playbook, he will be a very valuable component to that offense. So I definitely think that is a nice late round flyer. Paul, I got you. I like it. You'll hear from us sometime today. I'll send it over to our department at Win Daily Sports and get you hooked up with that 30 days. Now, as always, I'm going to tell you easily what you have to do. You have to follow Win Daily Sports, the YouTube page, subscribe. Okay, go get that gold membership today. If you are a new subscriber, let me know. Put your comment and put your email address in the thread, and we'll hook you up with your first 30 days on us, and then we'll go from there so we can get these subscription people into our Discord chat where we have tons of fun and we talk fantasy football and fantasy sports all day long. Whenever you're up, here's the best thing about the Discord chat. Whenever you're up, you go in Discord and you can find somebody to talk with you, whether it be 4 a.m., all different time zones, whether it be 7 a.m., 7 p.m., doesn't matter. Everybody's in there talking. It's a fantastic concept. So don't forget to join us. There's only a few days left before this NFL season. Adam, you're too kind. I appreciate it. I went a little longer. That's okay. Be ready for this season. So I'm going to tell you, Fantasy Firebox, keep it locked here. Every Saturday and Sunday, Fantasy Firebox goes live about 9:15, maybe 9:30. On Fridays, a huge response. We're already up to 500 views, The Alternative Edge, on my brand new show. Check it out on the Sharp app where you can get DFS and prop betting all in the one show. It's a great concept. I'm very excited about it. I dropped the premiere episode on Friday. Those episodes will drop every single Friday at noon. And then you can catch me on Mondays and Wednesdays right here on Win Daily Sports talking about fantasy. What else? Me and John Jansen. They can also hear me on Fox Sports The Gambler every single day around 3:50, where we talk about whether it be stars, whether it be stiffs, whether it be values, all kinds of fantasy talk right there. And as always, if you like the national scene and you just want to talk sports in general, go check out Heat Ratio Sports. We have a ton of different shows on the map, whether it be basketball, whether it be football, whether it be hockey, whether it be baseball. They're all there for your viewing pleasure. But as always, I am blessed to have you guys tune in. I appreciate all the love. Keep it coming. Let's have some fun. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll catch you next week.